Well, welcome back to Pittsburgh Home Garden. A beautiful, blessed day at the garden because I finally get to put plants in the ground. I believe the new norm for Zone 6A is for us to actually have a spring. Global warming is a terrible thing, but I'm using it to my advantage because I'm able to put in my summer crops and actually feel very safe about it here at the beginning of May. Something for the last couple of years, I would still be waiting for one of those like random, really chilly nights that would kill off, something like cucumbers or certain types of tomatoes. So today's task is to finally get all of these beautiful plants off the table, at least, the majority of them. And I'm gonna start with this big old dresser drawer full of greens. We are going to start from the back and build up with the bed that actually gets the least amount of sun. So yeah, let's get the planting. All right, so it is the return of the dresser drawer. This thing has gotten 3 use cases. First, it was held for my nice clean underwear. Second, it was held for my first batch of greens that actually were in the greenhouse. Now, these greens have probably run its course. So these bigger ones are actually a little bit too big to go in the ground. I know that really doesn't make sense, but the big ones are more likely to be going to flower a real big old bok choy like this. This is just good old classic basement grown bok choy. And instead of trying to continue it in the ground, it's going to be a lot better served as my lunch today. I'm so happy with the way this bed is turning out. 20 minutes before I turned on the camera, these beds were a mess because I pulled all the soil from the forest, which, it's a very live, active forest. All these weird, rhizonomic weeds present themselves all over my yard. And they're the strangest things because they essentially grow off of a stick. And when I had the excavator, I was basically breaking all the large roots into smaller ones. So these beds were a wreck, and it's going to be an all summer thing, staying on top of it. Hey, it is the top of May, and I have some corn that needs to go into the ground. I used an old plastic Tupperware. I think I got tomatoes in here. And I'll definitely reuse as much plastic as humanly possible. Give it a second use, maybe a third use if possible. I'm gonna sow something else in here. It's not gonna be more corn because today I wanna do an experiment. If you direct sow corn, it actually does a lot better in the ground as far as staying up. So I want to do an experiment with my little corn patch that I dug out a couple weeks ago, been putting some nutrients in here. So we'll check back here in about a month and a half and see how strong these direct sown corn plants are compared to what will be the much more mature transplanted ones. Also, I'm about to have a successful corn harvest. This is the year it happens. The first year, I tried it on one side of the house. Last year, I tried it on the other side of the house. Now there's no sides of the house. It's just direct, beautiful sunshine. I will have a successful and sexy little corn patch right here. I promise. Oh, hey, I didn't notice you there. I'm just, taking some plants back inside because our weather has lost its goddamn mind. Remember I was talking about the 20-day forecast and how everything was super great. In the last 3 days, forecast has now gone from a low of 51 at its coldest night to a low of 45 degrees. Can you believe it? After weeks of like very hot, like I kept saying, uncommon weather, May has decided to kick in. So I have to do a little bit of preventative measures, only because I do have my sweet potatoes already in the ground Everything else that's in should be fine, but I gotta take these babies in. My tomatoes, these wouldn't have made it through the night. Jeez Louise. I'm back out here in short sleeves. I had a jacket on 3 days ago, you know, it was out of nowhere. Ugh, whatever. All right, so the table is back full, which is beautiful. It's wonderful. I love the sight of it, but it's also a big problem because that means these plants are super ready to go in the ground. You know, this is my squash. Look how big this is. This is way too big for these cells, even though these are, you know, bigger cells. So to get these babies off the table, I have to set up certain things, you know, like this squash needs a little bit of space that I need to plan for. A couple of the beans and the peas, they need something to grab onto. I have melons that actually need to, you know, either get put somewhere in a space or, you know, I just really need to figure out what I'm actually doing. So this morning, I actually took some time and I drew up some very architectural drawings. I'll show you them right now. You know, just beautiful works of art to really give myself an idea of what I really need to do. I have a bunch of tomatoes that need to go in the ground, and of course they need trellising. And all my tomatoes are going to be in a different place. So I am going to start building some things. I am in the back left or the back right, the middle bed. This bed actually receives almost all day sun, but the things that can do well in partial sun, I'm actually going to put over here. So my plan, referring to my, you know, architectural drawings earlier. So the plan essentially is to put a post here and a post here. I'm going to shore up this wall a bit. I'm going to lay some of that chicken wire grate I have across, and this is where I'm going to grow plants of beans and peas, mainly peas, I suppose. Area on the side of the house where I tried to grow all my melons last year and I had zero success, mainly due to the groundhog that lives somewhere in those bushes back there. Now this year I've tried to cover up holes. I have netting up underneath to, you know, really just irritate them. Haven't seen him run back there, haven't seen him at all since the last time I shot him with my BB gun. Haven't seen him, but I kind of think they still got little burrow holes back there. And I'm really scared to put my young tomatoes over here. So I put up some more pallet bed walls, garden bed walls. I'm going to cover this with bird netting, probably a foot out into the bed. So there's no burrowing that can happen. I'll be able to put some bird wire right above where this is, just in case there's any other type of like climbing animal that will attach to this large trellis that I'm actually about to build, because I would like to have 2 rows of tomatoes over here in this all day, you know, beautiful sun. So let's see how it goes. Taking things from the table. Ooh. All right, so here we are. The day has finally come here on Pittsburgh Home Garden to plant out the tomatoes. You know, I finally feel secure enough in the nighttime temperatures to actually plant these babies out. Last night got kind of chilly. It was like 51, kind of, you know, really wet. And my pumpkin leaves actually started to die. The cells on them, you know, just hated the cold. So I probably lost 2 of my very mature pumpkin seedlings. And I only say that to say, you know, you have to be very mindful of your nighttime temperatures because it will kill the cells of your leaves. And that's something that, you know, you just can't get back. The soil is still very good from last year. Also, this year, I'm going to add a little bit of tomato and vegetable feed in the holes that I'm actually going to put the plants in. So the roots are going to lie directly on this added fertilizer and, you know, just help them out later on in the season. The last thing I'll do with these brand new seedlings is actually just start the string as soon as I put them in. While they're still fresh on the ground and establishing the roots, might as well go ahead and get the knot around them. That way it can establish with them. It's going to be a very loose type of thing just because, you know, the stems are going to grow and you don't want to squeeze that out. But I think getting the string in, if you are going to do a vertical trellis, it's pretty important. couldn't help myself but to double up on every single one of these stems. There's just so much space. Last year I grew, or the last 2 years, I grew my tomatoes insanely tight. So I know that pushing them together a little bit closer than recommended actually won't hurt them a bunch. As long as you have enough proper airflow, plant your tomatoes as close as you want. Believe me, I've done it. This has worked out amazingly. I cannot wait till all of these tomatoes come in. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24, 20. I have about 25 to 26 tomatoes. I'm so excited for my vertical garden this year. This is gonna be way more verticality than what I'm used to, and I honestly can't wait. I think it's gonna complement all the very tall sunflowers very well. I just think this is gonna be cool. So now to return to the table and see what's next to get planted. Just a quick add-on. Really want to record this just in case I come out here tomorrow and none of my animal defenses have worked. I once was happy. Hello, hello. It is a few days later here in May, actually more like 4 or 5 days later since the tomato planting. 3 of those days were taken up by very heavy rain. We had a big crazy storm. There was actually a part of town that had a very small tornado. Strange heavy weather going on here. Over the weekend, I had some lovely family events. Congratulations to my cousin Michelle on her master's degree and my uncle for turning 60. You made it. So I haven't been out in the yard, but as you can see, I have way too many plants on this table. And I actually had to separate them from plants from the basement that I still have under the grow lights that can come out, and plants that have been out here for the last 2 weeks that are in desperate need of the ground. So essentially my plan today is to shut up and plant. Grab whatever's next on the table, grab it, pick a place, put it in the ground. If it needs a trellis, build a trellis. But I need to get going on all of this because I'm running out of May days, So let's get to it. On the table, coming down, are going to be some cucumbers. Wow. All right, so I had to change outfits because it is too hot for the cowboy hat and the garden is too dangerous for shorts. These brand new garden beds are, pieces of pallet wood. They are certainly not smoothed on the edges. So I am putting up a, 7-foot trellis right here, kind of in the same style as I did with my tomato trellis. But for this, I am going to put all of my cucumbers. All right, so the bed is prepared. The trellis is up. I believe it's strong enough for cucumbers, maybe not for some heavy melons, but I'm gonna try to squeeze in some more things. I think I have way more space than I do cucumbers right now, And I'm also gonna save, I have these very special Armenian cucumbers, and I'm gonna save one of those for the greenhouse. Same thing with the melons. I wanna save one of each for the greenhouse, just to see how those grow, compared to outside melons, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get these in. Most importantly is just getting them a bunch of water, because of course the fruits are, 70-something% water, I guess. But I'm gonna plant a straight line of them, and I hope to have the sides of the bed filled with, something else. So within this, 8-foot bed, I have 14 cucumbers that I need to go buy some more string so I could go ahead and get the string under these real young. I've broken more cucumber plants than I care to admit. It is a very hot 87-degree day here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we're planting, baby. Move on to the next. At the brand new melon patch. I haven't grabbed them off the table yet, but I know I am because I have so many melons that are overgrown over there. But a little bit of pre-work I have to do is to take this wonderful field of mint, which I am very gracious for, very, very happy for. I need to do something with it. It's a little too spread out, so I'm gonna go ahead and harvest off some of the tops, making sure to watch out for the white sud thing that I mentioned in the last video. Apparently it is a byproduct of aphids, so of course I'm gonna toss those out. So I'm gonna do a nice clipping across. I'm gonna harvest some to take to the dehydrator in the house and just kind of shape it up a bit, because I have these grow bags all along the side, and the plan is to have these vines just kind of crisscross with each other and all my melons to come up right here. And I want to use the scent of the mint to actually block all of the melon scent if possible. So I want to line up around the wire that I put up, kind of just like, you know, bundles of mint, small little handfuls, because they're certainly going to grow. That's all mint does. Melons, I'm grabbing so many melons. I have a big old pot of mint that needs to go to the dehydrator. I have a bunch of melons that are gonna go inside these beautiful, beautiful 5 and 10 gallon grow bags. Really in no particular order. I certainly have more 5 gallons over in the grow bag alley that I can take that don't have, you know, much lettuce growing inside of them. By the way, let me show you a shot of what's going on over there. It's actually quite nice. Those grow bags were sown during the wintertime, and because that part of the yard gets most shade, anytime past maybe like 3 o'clock, I decided to just grow my brassicas over there, and they're doing really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in. I'm also gonna put in some more of that fertilizer that I had used for the tomatoes, just because I want the initial push of these to be very strong. And then once they vine out, I'm actually gonna plant some of the vine legs like in the ground, so that could root down and, you know, just suck up more nutrients. So yeah, super excited about this. Okay, so the melons are in their bags, and I actually had so many that I decided to put some in the ground behind this, you know, mint patch, just to see how they go. One thing I'm noticing, grabbing, you know, everything off the table, the soil is so hot inside these containers. It's all plastic. I'm really hoping all the plants, you know, immediately take to the ground, just because it's a lot cooler. But yeah, these melons are looking good. I hope your melons are looking good. What do we got? We got squash. Lemon, yellow squash. Last year, I kind of made the mistake thinking that squash was more of a vining plant than what it is. Totally not a vining plant. It certainly grows more like a zucchini, I suppose. It's definitely a, you know, more of a bushy thing. So, because I don't want to backtrack on my idea of having, you know, every vegetable in every bed, I'm gonna go ahead and put all the squash in the corners of the beds, and with them being on the edge, they'll be able to flop over and not take up a bunch of space inside of the actual garden bed. Hey, it is the day after yesterday for me and for you. Right now, what I am doing is trying to organize the table to see what I have left. I came to the realization this morning that I put so much emphasis on, you know, your summer classics, your peppers, your corn, your tomatoes, that I kind of forgot to also seed, you know, some of your more like common fall plants, because I'm looking around and I need to fill a lot of space in these beds. But it's only May 18th, so by June I could have some pretty solid seedlings coming out of you know, starter trays. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that going ASAP. But I think right now I'm gonna build a trellis for these tomatoes. Trying to figure out how I'm gonna build this damn trellis. I have run out of wood to make a traditional trellis, you know, something like I did for the cucumbers or the tomatoes. So I've been trying out different things. Like for a minute, both these poles were in the ground and I was gonna put a crossbar, but it was too short. So I'm moving things and this is what I got right now. God damn, this was the thing that took me the longest. This is crazy. Okay, cherry toms are in. The strings are up. Half my garden is gonna be full of strings this year. I'm really excited about it. But before I move on back to the table, I want to give an update of, you know, something that I planted actually way before anything else in the yard got planted. So here we are at my little potato patch. It's probably about, I don't know, 20 feet away from where I just planted the tomatoes. All grow bags and 5-gallon water jugs that I use in the house. I have a water fountain. I drink a bunch of water. So my empties, instead of returning them, I decided to keep and go ahead, split them open and, you know, put them to use. Because I mean, these bags right here are 5 gallons themselves. So why not just save myself a little bit of money and also reuse plastic. I am such a big fan of putting plastic to a second, third, fourth use, if possible, because pollution. So all of these were planted way before the ones in the back row, but the ones in the water jugs are actually just now starting to come out. So last year around January, I was sitting here drunk. It was 2 in the morning. I seen a commercial for fast growing trees and realized that I want a fruit tree. So I got one, probably put it in the ground, I don't know, late January, early February. They said it was safe to do so. It was completely bare at that point. And then it just stayed bare and got more bare during the summer months. So I sent them an email and come to find out I was past my guarantee, I suppose. So I kind of just gave up on it. But early in November, I started to notice that there was a little bit of growth coming out of what seemed to be a second branch coming out. For the longest time, I thought it was a weed, but I was like, you know, let's see what happens. Come to find out, this baby grew another trunk and has been putting on growth like hell. Oh, I am so happy with this. I named her Paulette, and Paulette died. But you know what? Paulette is making a comeback. Oh, what a time to plant peppers in your garden. All right, so here we are at the newly formed pepper bed. This bed actually is the closest to my gate. Those are the woods, and it's probably the most vulnerable of all of my beds, you know, as far as like animal entry into the yard. So I had a thought of why not just plant some peppers in here. Peppers are one of the least sought after foods for animals, and they give off such a strong scent that a lot of animals just don't even, you know, come around their way. I had this thought as I was digging this hole out. At no point in this video have I given you the types or varieties of any of the vegetables I've been planting. Totally didn't do it on purpose, but in my head, all the tomatoes are the tomatoes. I know what I bought. I know what they look like, and once they come up, I'll be able to tell you, type of thing. But I totally have various varieties of the things I've been planting, I promise. Oh, you know, as I was looking over here at the table, I realized that a lot of this is more just about placement at this point. So I think this is gonna do it for the video. Everything else you'll see as they grow on in the yard. I certainly would like to thank you for watching this longer video of Pittsburgh Home Garden, but I am all caught up. I am all free for the garden, and I will be giving you some videos. If you think I'm sexy, leave a like, make a comment, you know? If you like my information, take it, please, please. And if you know someone in Pittsburgh, give them a hug. because Pittsburgh people are lovely people. I'll see you until the next episode. Until next time, I'll be here gardening.